Hello and welcome to all my Flosstube neighbors. I am Chris and this is Chris Xrossstitch, and it is Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. I so wanted to not look down. Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, and this is Flosstube number 15. 1-5. I really am looking forward to today. I have found that I look forward to these sessions where I sit in the corner of my bedroom and talk to you for half an hour so very much. And I'm so glad that you have taken the time to join me today. If you're a new viewer, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here. I hope that you enjoy what you see. My channel is about cross-stitching. That's the primary craft, the only craft. But I tell stories and I share bits of nostalgia from my past, and we just have a good old time here at Chris Xrossstitch, and I'm glad to have you with us. If you are new, if you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, like the video, all that stuff that you know how to do. And if you are a returning viewer, I appreciate you. I am grateful for you, and I just adore each and every one of you. You really do mean the world to me, and I'm happy to have you back. It was another amazing week for comments and for stories and for interaction and for ideas. And one of the best ideas that I have received recently has to do with our good friend, Handstanding Cat. Now, Handstanding Cat, as you know, we needed a name, and many of you submitted fantastic names for Handstanding Cat. So many that I didn't want to pick because I just can't, I guess it comes from getting picked last so much when I was growing up. I don't know if you know this or not, but I was not that efficient with a bat or a ball or anything like that. So I was never picked first. I was mostly picked last, and I don't mind. I have gone through the therapy. I've dealt with all that, so we're over it. But what it's done is it's made me very aware of people's feelings, and I didn't want to choose one and eliminate the other. But one of my viewers, Rachel L., had a fantastic idea, and this is what we're going to do. So thank you, Rachel L. I appreciate your idea. It's brilliant, and this is what we will be putting into play, and it's how we will start every video from now on until we run out of names. The wheel. We're going to use the wheel. And since TEAKY, Tree of 1,000 Faces, can morph and show you different things over time, I had a lot of, I had some more good ones this week. Handstanding Cat can do that too. He can morph, she can morph, they can morph. It can be many things and have many names. So this week, Handstanding Cat's name is Sandy. Emily D. My viewer Emily D. Sent me the suggestion for Handstanding Cat to be named Sandy. I don't expressly remember why, but I love the name Sandy. I've loved the name Sandy since I saw Grease with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, and then proceeded to learn the entire soundtrack in less than 2 days. And I can do a mean, hopelessly devoted to you. Just saying. So Emily, thank you so much for naming Handstanding Cat today. Sandy, thank you, Rachel L., for giving me the idea. I really appreciate it. And this way, everybody's creativity is celebrated, which is important. Moving on to what I consider the greatest thing that we've done together since I've begun this Flosstube journey, Ted's Change Jar. Sandy Ego Stitcher finally saw that we were doing this together to pay tribute to her father. If you have not seen the origin of Ted's Change Jar, go back a couple of videos if you get a chance She sent me a wonderful story about the tremendous generosity of her father, and it gave me an idea to give back to the gift of reading to children. So we are collecting money in Ted's change jar, and every week the amount of comments that I receive will be turned into a dollar amount, and at the end of the year I will make a contribution in Ted's name and in your name, the viewers of Xrossstitch, to Dolly's Imagination Library, which provides children under the age of 5 with books, 1 per month, in the United States, the UK, Australia. It's just a wonderful program. So many of you have told me how wonderful it is. That's great to hear. And we will be making that donation at the end of the year. Some of my viewers have offered to match the contribution that I will make, which excites me greatly. And because of your responses, I have established a Buy Me a Coffee link. I want to tell you that every penny that you give to Buy Me a Coffee that does not go to the small fee that they take is going to go to Ted's change jar. I'm not going to use it for anything else other than that. And I think that we'll be doing a really amazing thing at the end of this year. So thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your willingness to do this with me. And again, there's no obligation. You do not have to donate to Ted's change jar just because you watch me. I do this out of joy and love. And you are more than welcome to enjoy this channel without contributing anything ever. But if you wish to do that, it is there for you. And I appreciate your willingness to have me do it. So thank you. On to the cross stitching. I bet you guys are wondering though where Sal is. Sal is going to take a break this week. He is very busy visiting his cousin Grover on Sesame Street. And he will return for the next Chris's Toy Chest segment that I do. Just to mention that. I know that if I went through a video without mentioning him, I would get questions as to where he is, because so many of you love him, and boy is he a little scene stealer. But he will be back, never to fear. So just, that's where Sal is this week. Cross stitching. I stitched on 2 pieces this week, only 2. And they're gonna look familiar because they were the same 2 pieces that you saw last week. And I'm sorry for that. But there's a good reason. I wanted to advance greatly on Glendon Place's Sleepy Hollow. This was the piece that you all chose for me at the beginning of the summer. And it is a large project. It is an intense project. And the more I stitch on it, the more I love it. I have people nipping at my heels who are also stitching this. Crafty Old Man UK. And he actually sent me a picture, and he was ahead of me in the horse, but I have more colors on my fabric. It's a duel, you guys. It's a duel. But he's working on something else now, so I'm really gaining ground. Anyway, Glendon Place's Sleepy Hollow, and as you can see, I'm gonna do my insert photographs here. I got a lot done on it. And I love it. This is the other interesting thing about new ground that I broke this past week on this chart is I started on the moon. And for those of you who have stitched this, you'll know, and for those of you who haven't stitched it, you won't, but the moon is silk. You guys, why didn't you tell me? Why? It's amazing. Silk is amazing. I guess I knew. I guess, you know, because it's so, you know, widely used and people talk about it all the time, but you don't, it's like butter. It's like butter. It's so amazing. And I really love stitching on it. This silk in this particular chart is CARON WATERLILIES Lemon and Lime. It's a beautiful variegated yellow. It moves toward a mango in some places and even a green in others, but it's just gorgeous for this particular moon. I've only got a little sliver of it, but it's fantastic. So you can see I just made leaps and bounds on Sleepy Hollow. And I'm going to continue to work on it. I'm probably going to incorporate other things into my rotation this week, but since I do have a good lead on it, I probably will let it continue to be my focus piece, because I don't want others to pass me. It's not a competition. It's really not a competition, but it's fun. So that's Glendon Place's Sleepy Hollow. It falls under the hashtag Spookysummerstitch that I started at the beginning of the summer, which still can go on as long as it's above 60 in your location. We can have Spookysummerstitch going. And I'm also now using, along with it, the hashtag HALLOWEENINAUGUSTSAL stitch along that is being sponsored by Crafty Old Man UK and the Crafty Stitchers from the UK. So if you are stitching anything Halloween related, use those two hashtags so that we can see your work and we can all applaud each other for it. The other work in progress, or WIP, that I stitched on this week was my Modern Folk Embroidery MHD 1864, a Zeeland sampler. This was my birthday start at the beginning of this month. It is another journey into linen for me. So much better than my first foray into linen. I love this. This is being done on a 36 count Edinburgh linen, and it's the color cream. And I progressed a good deal on it. I mean, I didn't make huge leaps and bounds, but this is such an enjoyable stitch. I spoke with BECCA about this in our interview, and others have said this about his work, but and Jacob, I consider a friend now, so I hope this doesn't embarrass him, but there's something about his work that when you're stitching it, you're feeling the energy that he put into it when he charted it. And I think that is really quite amazing. Because it is so enjoyable to stitch, and so many other people have said the same thing about his work when they are working on his pieces. The Fruits of Plenty, Stitch Along, anything that he does. So this is just a joy to stitch, and I'm really loving it. I never thought I would enjoy period reproduction sampler stitching, but here we go. Horizons broadened. So thank you, Jacob, for your lovely work, and thank you for this chart. I appreciate it, and it really is a fun stitch. I don't think it's, once I shift my focus to this, I think this will stitch up very quickly. It's not very big, but there's a lot of detail to it. So Modern Folk Embroideries MHD 1864, a Zeeland sampler. This week is time for Wheel of Stories, and I, once again, am not spinning the wheel. I think I need a new name for the segment because I'm really not spinning the wheel to pick a story. I did that one week because I had 3 that I wanted to tell, and I just haven't gotten back to it yet. But it's just story time. And part of this is inspired by Pam at Just Keep Stitching, who shares a love of genealogy. With me. I love genealogy. I've traced my family back many, many years to its origin in Scotland. And I was looking through some of my files this past week, and I found something about my I'm going to have to look at my notes here. He was my great-great-grandfather. I'm going to tell you a story about my great-great-grandfather and a train robber. His name was Silas Fillmore Pennington. Silas Fillmore Pennington, and he was a formidable man. He was the mayor of our small town in Northwest Alabama for years. He was the sheriff of the county for 2 years. And this, he was really quite a remarkable man and ahead of his time. There are several stories, well, newspaper articles that were written during his tenure in those positions, and they really paint a picture of a man ahead of his time with regard to the way he had kindness for other people. It really made me happy to read. But the story that I'm going to tell involving him also involves one of the most infamous train robbers in the South, and it's particularly in Alabama. And the train robber himself was born in the same county as my hometown, Lamar County, Alabama. His name was Rube Burrow. And you can Google Rube Burrow and you can find out all kind of information about him. He was rather infamous and mischievous. He was not a good guy. And my hometown was originally, as I mentioned in other videos, it was a railroad town. It was one of the stops for the train routes from Tennessee to more southerly Alabama, particularly Birmingham. So of course, any train robbers that would go through that jurisdiction would fall under my great-great-grandfather's jurisdiction, and Rube Burrow was robbing trains in my part of Alabama when he was the sheriff of the county. And he was pretty adamant that he was going to help apprehend Rube Burrow, to the point, and this is the crux of the story, to the point that Rube Burrow actually went to my great-great-grandfather's house one night, my family's home, and he was going to kill my great-great-grandfather. And he had a pistol, and it was night, and of course, Alabama, it was hot, open window. And he saw my great-great-grandfather sitting inside the living area. And he aimed the pistol to kill my great-great-grandfather, but my great-grandmother was a baby sitting on my great-great-grandfather's lap. And he refused to shoot, because he was afraid that he might hit the baby in my great-great-grandfather's lap. So he went away. He was later apprehended. My great-great-grandfather didn't catch him, but he lived to be the sheriff longer. And my great-grandmother, whose name was Easter, went on to have a daughter named Marie, my grandmother, who went on to have a daughter named Judy, who was my mother, and she had me. So if not for the momentary kindness or fear or conscience of a train robber, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you this story. Probably. Isn't that remarkable? I just think it's amazing. Everything we do is a pebble dropped into a pond. And you know, I never imagined, I certainly never thought that I would be telling this story one day in this medium to all of you. Never imagined that. And I never imagined that in some small part, I owe it to a train robber who had killed other people willingly. But in that one moment, he changed his mind. It's remarkable. So that's the story of my connection to a train robber in the late 1800s in Northwest Alabama. And my great-great-grandfather, Silas Fillmore Pennington, who was born in 1852 and died in 1895. Pebbles in a pond. This past week, I had two lovely pieces of happy mail come my way. The first was one of my viewers, Michelle, had an extra chart in her stash. She had the chart, forgot that she had the chart, and downloaded the PDF of this chart. So she had the extra paper one, and she reached out and offered it to me, and I said that I would gladly accept it. I'm going to use this as one of my Halloween giveaways that's coming up later next month, but I think you'll all know this and love it. It's Halloween Cat. She had an extra and she sent it to me, and I will be, I too have the PDF that I purchased of it, so this is an extra for me too. So this will be used as a giveaway. Thank you, Michelle, so much. She put a little note on the front of it, a sticky note on the front of it, and of course it had Snoopy on it, which now I'll have to save that note for the rest of my life and treasure it. I will. So thank you, Michelle. The other piece of Happy Mail was a larger bundle, actually. And this is from my dear friend, Marianne. She and I have become pen pals through Flosstube. She sent me a wonderful just conglomeration of extra things from her stash, some magazines with some of the older cross stitch and needlework magazines, which I love. This is great, you know, nostalgia boy here. Some other charts, some that I will be keeping for myself, some I will be using in giveaways as well. And she sent me silk. She sent me some extra silks that she had. And the interesting thing is I had not yet stitched the moon in Sleepy Hollow. So I got the silks and I'm like, oh, that's exciting. I'm going to be able to use silk. And then I realized, oh, this in Sleepy Hollow is also silk. And then I stitched the silk, and then I love the silk, and now I have more silk. And how many times can I say silk in one breath? And now to the, as promised, 3,000 subscriber giveaway. I reached 3,000 subscribers last week. I'm still blown away by it. I'm still incredibly grateful for it. And thank you all so much for making my heart expand exponentially. But we're going to have 4 winners this week. The first giveaway for 3,000 subscribers is going to be, as promised, this beautiful project bag by Creative Country Girl. It's just gorgeous. I showed it off the first time I showed it, but it has a beautiful, you know, trim, and it's the back is plain. I mean, it's just great. Tammy Blaylock, a Creative Country Girl, she puts these little floss drops, the ring to hold your floss drops and everything in there. It's just so well made and so amazing, and I'm so happy to be offering this as a gift for this giveaway. If you would like to be considered to receive this, we're going to ask, just in your comment, please put flag, F-L-A-G, flag, to represent this. I didn't know what, I thought about a million different things that were a little more complicated, but it's just easiest to say flag. So if you want to be considered for that, please use that in your comment. The second, third, and fourth are going to be charts. They are coming once again from my dear friend Rochelle in Oregon, from her store, The Cottage Needle. And one of the charts has been sponsored by one of my viewers who would like to remain anonymous, but she reached out and would like to sponsor one of these giveaway prizes, and that is greatly appreciated. So thank you. You know who you are. So the 3 charts that I am offering up are as follows. And I tried to pick things from a variety of different themes, because I know some of you don't like stitching Halloween, and some of you do, and some of you prefer stitching a lot of holiday stuff, and some of you don't. And then, so there's kind of a broad range for everybody. But the first is going to be another Glendon Places chart, Witch's Wheel. I love this chart. I think it's exciting. It looks difficult, but I thought this might be fun for some of you to stitch. So Glendon Place's Witch's Wheel. And if you would like to be considered for this one, wheel, the word wheel. The second chart is going to be a holiday themed chart. I decided to go more primitive because some of you really love stitching primitives. So this is going to be With Thy Needle and Threads, Peppermint and Holly. This one's beautiful. I may have to get this one and stitch it too. So if you would like to stitch this one, please use the word holly, H-O-L-L-Y. And the third is going to be something autumn focused, but not specifically holiday focused. I chose Prairie Schooler Fall Fields Booklet. Fall Fields Booklet. And I thought that was fun with all the different animals. And you could do smalls and, you know, put them in a dough bowl, or you could do, some of these could even be ornaments for a rustic Christmas tree. So I thought that was fun. So those are the 3 charts that I will be sending out. And then, of course, the project bag from Creative Country Girl. Please don't use the word giveaways in your comments. Please be at least 18 years old or above so I can ask you for your address. Please be a subscriber to my channel. And I think that's it. Of course, I'll have all the information down below, but I will draw for this in a week on Tuesday morning before I film, and we will announce those winners, and those will go out to you. Now, confession time. If you have won a giveaway from me that didn't come from the cottage needle, don't worry about them. They're coming. I have not sent them out yet, and here's why. A little secret. I have an autoimmune disorder, and because of that, I take an immunosuppressant. And because of that, I have been very careful about treading outside. And just as I was getting ready to, ship things to people, Delta raised its ugly head. And I immediately went back into the same kind of practices that I had when we were in the throes of the pandemic. I have Crohn's disease. And every 8 weeks, I take a medication that keeps that in check. And I'm doing great. And I'm kept healthy by my diet and by that particular medication that I take. But it does make me more susceptible to things. So what I've done, because I know that this is going to be an ongoing thing, is I have signed up for stamps.com, and I'm getting a scale coming to me, and I'm going to be able to print out all my postage. I'm going to be able to weigh everything. I'm going to be able to get it all ready to go, so that all I have to do is take it to the post office, or even get it picked up. Take it to the post office and go boom, and throw it in the box. And I won't have to necessarily put myself in any sort of risk situation. Living in Los Angeles, it's a big city, as you must understand. So anytime you go to the post office, you're not there alone. So now you know a little bit more about me. And my sincerest apologies to those of you who have won things. I don't ever want to fall back on my word or be disingenuous with you. That's the reason why you haven't received your giveaway prizes. That's the reason why many of you haven't received thank you notes from me, which they're coming to. But that's why. So that's going to change very soon. I will have everything ready to go to do my own postage very, very soon. So I just ask for your patience a little longer, and I'll get those things out to you very, very quickly. So 3,000 subscriber giveaway. Wheel, holly. I didn't tell you the third word. Fall. F-A-L-L. Fall. and we will draw those next week. Very quickly, a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Marilyn, my viewer Marilyn D. Last week, I showed some wonderful photographs of the Sesame Street Playhouse in my Chris's Toy Chest segment. And Marilyn provided me with some of those, and I failed to, I actually had it in last week's video and edited it out foolishly when I thanked her for that. So thank you, Marilyn, for those photographs. They were great. And Marilyn actually inspired me to focus on Sesame Street last week. I had forgotten that I actually had it. And you know the way the universe works. She sent me those photographs and I'm like, this is going to be my next toy segment because I loved it so. So thank you, Marilyn, for that. Also, I want to thank Debbie at the Flosstube channel, Creatively Yours. She gave me a wonderful shout out last week. So kind. And she's great. She is a Flosstuber in the Netherlands, I believe. And if you haven't seen her, please do go check her out. Another thank you to a Flosstuber is to someone in the Under 1000 Subs Club. Her name is Stitchy Sally, and she is a Flosstuber from the UK. I'm thanking her because she gave me a question a few weeks ago that I have not answered on air yet. And I'm not going to answer it here today because I answered it in a wonderful, wonderful video that I just shot with BECCA at SAMBRIE Stitches. She asked me if I would sit down with her so that she could interview me for her Flosstube channel. And I was incredibly honored and very flattered and very embarrassed. But we had a great conversation yesterday, and in which I answered that question from Stitchy Sally and elaborated on it. And the video will go live on SAMBRIE Stitches Flosstube channel on Sunday, September 5th. So please, if you don't watch SAMBRIE Stitches, she's amazing. So is Stitchy Sally. You go check her out and be on the lookout for that interview. If you want to know more about things that I don't normally talk about here on my Flosstube channel, go check that out on Sunday, September 5th. I'm going to end today with actually a viewer story, which made me laugh. So I thought that this would be fun to do occasionally as well, is to end with a viewer's. I tell you stories and you tell me stories, and I love it. And this one legitimately made me laugh out loud. This story comes from Marilyn M. And I have to look down here to read it to you, but here's what I leave you with today. So this is predicated with the knowledge that her family, Marilyn M's family, took their RV camping. So we're talking about an RV in the woods situation here. Another time, when we first moved to Calgary and my mother flew out to visit us, we took her camping to Lake Louise in June. It snowed out during the night and our propane furnace stopped. My mother and daughters were sleeping on the bed you made by dropping the table down and then topping it with cushions. When my daughter woke up first in the morning and saw that my mother had pulled the sleeping bag up over her face to keep her nose warm, she got very worried and said, Grandma, wake up now, because if you die, we won't be able to get the table up for breakfast. Priorities. So on that note, thank you for spending time with me another week. Thank you for being part of my neighborhood. And I wish you a great week of stitching. I wish you a great week in your lives. And I really look forward to spending time with you next week. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.